I'm going to call this meeting to order on Monday, February 9th, 2015. And Clerk Cornett, could you please call the roll for us?
Yes, Trustee Aiello. Trustee Bullfuss.
Here.
Trustee Taglia.
Here.
Trustee Case.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Here.
President Bullwinkle.
Here. Would all please rise for the pledge. I will lead us in the pledge tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can just remain standing for one more second. I'm going to ask Trustee Taglia to lead us in the prayer.
Certainly. Our Heavenly Father, will thou be pleased to grant that this meeting, thus begun in order, be conducted in peace and closed in harmony. Amen.
Okay. We're on the Committee of the Whole agenda. And for those of you in the audience here, if you'd like to get an agenda, if you don't have one already, we have them hanging up in the little rack on the door there. You come into the chamber. So. Item number 3 on the Committee of the Whole is amendments to the agenda. Does any of the board members have any amendments to our COW agenda tonight? No? Okay. We're going to move on to item number 4. Here we go. Presentation of the Northeast DuPage Special Recreation Association, also known as NESDRA, Gold Medal Award to Philip Page. And Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Philip Page has been involved in NESDRA programs for just over a year now, but he has made tremendous strides in that brief time. Some participants don't participate in as many programs in their entire lifetime that Philip has signed up for within the past year. He loves sports, and it shows that he has signed up for track and field, softball, floor hockey, basketball, and even snowshoeing. Philip is a team player. He is happy to help anyone out and always has a smile on his face. He never seems to be in a bad mood and always brightens up the day of those around him. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. We have Philip here with us tonight and several other folks here. Yes, I see you. We want you to come up here. See you and your family members and your friends would like to come up, and we have Greg Gola, our Director of Parks and Rec. Here you are.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah. Maybe if we could, can we actually adjust the laptop? So it's
We can
the
see
laptop
it?
top. Yeah, so you can see them. Yeah, yeah, just bring it. Yeah, pull it down just a little bit. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay,
Well,
now
usually-
we can see you.
Usually once or twice a year we have a Villa Park resident that participates in NESDRA programs that does some outstanding things in the sport field and the activities, and so we always like to recognize those residents for a job well done. So what we'd like to do tonight is present to Philip this certificate for recognition for receiving the NESDRA Gold Medal Award and his unwavering enthusiasm for NESDRA programs. Congratulations, Philip. Thank you very much for recognizing Philip tonight. We
That's
appreciate it.
terrific. It's our pleasure. I have to ask Philip, what's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Basketball. Okay. It's a great sport. Do you have another favorite sport?
Floor hockey.
Wow, that's terrific.
Softball.
Wow. So you have more than one favorite. That's great. Why
No
stick to just one?
shooting.
I want you to teach me how to snowshoe.
I will.
I love to do that. I'm not very good at basketball.
And I was saying that my cousin Toby Winfield, her is part of my family, but I am a part of the family. The Winfield, my cousin Toby, and my cousin Martin, don't help me out. But I thank God, my cousin.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, come on out.
This my cousin.
Yeah.
He helped me be like my own cousin, well, but I said brother, well, but I love him, but I said God, my cousin's son, I love him, my cousin, him not here today, by the grace of God. And my family up there, I pray God is doing too.
Thank you. You have lots of support. This is fabulous.
He's got the mic. He needs to.
This is one of the many reasons why I love this job. That's fabulous. So now you get to go get your picture taken. Yay! Thanks for coming. What a great showing. All right, thank you. It's a great way to start off the meeting tonight. Okay, item number 5. This is a tough act to follow, Kevin.
Beat it.
Budget discussion, Budget 101 discussion. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a precursor to the fiscal year 15-16 budget process, Finance Director Wattell will provide a presentation to the board and viewing audience of the village's financial structure. The presentation will cover primary sources and uses of money, including tax dollars, the reason why we have different funds for different purposes, and the budget process. And Your Honor, this really came out of the fact that we had our NIU intern make a presentation, and Kevin said, you know, Rich, why can't I have some airtime? So that's where this came out of. So
We have a competition going on. Okay, that's cool.
thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, we just talked sports, now we'll go into Budget 101. Kevin Wachtel, our Director of Finance. Sure.
It is a tough act to follow.
It is.
Thank you, Rich,
Go ahead.
for the introduction. But today is a little bit of a Budget 101. It's intended for those residents that are watching at home that may not have an understanding of government finance, and maybe those who do can pick up a few tips here and there.
Sometimes it's nice to get a refresher. So.
It is.
Yeah.
So, to take a step back to basics, I like to first think about what are the general services, big picture services that the village does provide. And first and foremost, public safety, police, fire, that includes code inspection services, those types of things, and ambulance, paramedic, that type of thing. Streets and sidewalks and other infrastructure for us to get around. Public spaces and parks, that's Greg and his folks in Parks and Recreation. And other recreational opportunities, that includes swimming pool, parks, playground, that's the fun side of life. And also water, sewer, stormwater management, those types of utilities, some of the infrastructure we don't see every day, but we certainly do use and take advantage of every day. We have a few different major revenue sources that we utilize to provide those services. Those come in the form generally of taxes, which are usually a compulsory type of a cost to us as individuals or businesses, and also user fees. Those are things discretionary that we can either choose to partake in or not partake in. There are a variety of other revenues that we do take advantage of and utilize, such as interest and those types of things, but in the big picture, broad categories, these are our two main primary revenue sources and streams. We also look for grants and grant opportunities in a lot of different ways. We use these grant funds to stretch our operating dollars and our capital dollars to the extent that we can. They are typically utilized for capital projects, capital infrastructure, or other things that meet objectives of, typically it's either state or federal government. They have a program in place, they want to facilitate safe bridges, then there may be a grant program that is just for bridge infrastructure and that type of thing, or other federal government programs. There's other things like community development block grants, or other programs like that are grants that we do take advantage of. Occasionally there will be a grant for operating activities. Maybe the police have a special enforcement where the grant will fund extra overtime work so that we can do specific enforcement type of activities. But by and large, the big dollar capital projects or big dollar grants come in the form of capital projects and infrastructure. We look at grants all the time. We look at where can we utilize grants, where can we find grants, maybe new revenue sources, or maybe new grant sources. A few months ago, we got the fire department grant through a federal government grant for our fire apparatus. We're looking at these things all the time. We aggressively pursue them to the extent that we can. And we use them to couple the grant money with our other funds that we have in place, again, to stretch our dollars to make our local tax dollars go further. So what are the limitations on our revenue sources? Well, a lot of times this money, the money that we get, the regular routine revenues that we get, it does come with some strings. A lot of times there are legal restrictions either in state law or federal law that comes with a specific revenue source. Things that come off the top of my head, motor fuel tax money has to be used, it's a tax on gasoline, has to be used for street maintenance and infrastructure. Hotel motel tax, there are strings attached. We can only use it for certain types of things. In addition to that, Villa Park is a non-home rule government, which means we have some limited flexibility with generating some certain revenue sources, with developing revenue sources. By non-home rule, that means we are only allowed to do specifically what the state allows us to do, or as a home rule can do anything that's limited by, except for what's limited by the state. So how do we keep track of all these revenue sources? We have a lot of different revenue sources for a lot of different purposes, for a lot of different things. We have a number of different funds. We have 26 different funds within the village. Each one of them I think of as kind of a separate pocket where certain financial activity is tracked. So maybe some revenues come in for that specific program or project, program or revenue type, and then the expenses that are related to that come out of the same pocket. So each fund can be thought of as a different pocket to track that specific financial activity. We talk about funds all the time when it comes to capital costs or TIF funds and those types of things, that money can be restricted for certain purposes. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. So there are different fund types. Overall, the village has its big picture financial structure, and in that there are governmental funds. And governmental funds, by that I mean they're generally tax supported. Now there are some user fees in our governmental funds, but by and large, the overall, the main revenue sources in our governmental funds are property taxes, sales taxes, other tax sources. Within these governmental funds, there are some funds that are specifically for operations, so they're operating funds, such as our corporate fund and that type of thing. And there are also some capital funds, such as our capital project fund, our streets fund, our equipment fund. This is where we aggregate dollars and use them for certain capital purposes over time. Then there are also business type funds. This is where a fund is the primary revenue is user fee based, such as water fund. You pay your water bill every month. That's a user fee on the water that you use. And then the money goes into that particular fund, and it pays not just for the operations to operate our water system, but also for long-term capital investment. So operations and capital are mixed within that particular fund. Here's a snapshot of all of our funds. These are the governmental funds. We have 23 different governmental funds, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see we have a number of different operating funds and a number of different capital funds for different purposes. We also have 3 business type funds. As I mentioned, the water fund, we also have a wastewater fund, and the swim pool fund is operated as a business type activity. Money comes in for that service and is expended for that specific service in the form of user fees. So what role does the budget play in all of this? The budget is a primary policy document that the village board prepares every year. It establishes our specific spending priorities. It's a lengthy process and through lots of discussion, but it establishes the priorities of the village for our activity for the following year. And this is, I think, kind of a strange example to put up there, but if we identified as a priority that we wanted a water fountain on all 4 corners of every intersection, then what the board could do is we could reallocate our resources and say, we don't want to trim trees anymore, we want to invest in these water fountains. We think this is an important thing to do. So it's a reprioritization of how we spend our money, the activity that our staff works on day in and day out to meet the objectives, the priorities of the community. So what is the budget process? We start out by getting the departments creating their budget submissions. We give them a set of directions, some parameters that they work in. So they provide a budget request for what they think are needed to provide a specific level of service. They submit that to the village manager. We go through a series of meetings, and the manager makes his adjustments, contemplates what he believes are the goals and objectives that we want to meet. So a balanced operating budget that's responsive to a variety of different inputs, different factors in the community. Once the budget is proposed and released, then there is a series of public meetings where the board listens to information, presentations from staff, public feedback, discussions amongst yourself. There's a public portion of the process. And then once all of that is done, then the board has its priorities based on the feedback, based on your own individual priorities, to create an adopted budget for a spending plan for the following year. So those are the four main steps of our budget process each year. So where are we at with this process? Well, the first two steps are underway. The departments have submitted their budgets, and we've met with the village manager as departments on a number of occasions, and that process is ongoing. In the next couple of weeks, we're hoping to release the proposed budget that will be sent out to the board members. Then throughout March, there are a number of meetings scheduled that we will have budget discussions at the board level. This will be an opportunity for the public input phase of the process. Then on March 23rd, the schedule calls for a public hearing. That's a regular routine part of the budget process as defined in state law, and also the first reading of the budget ordinance. Then the following meeting, which is April 13th, we are scheduled to have the second reading and adoption of the budget ordinance. That will make the budget in effect as of May 1st of 2015. That's the first day of fiscal 15-16. So that's a snapshot of our budget process. That's a snapshot of where we are right now. Hopefully this provides somewhat of an overview, especially to those at home who are not familiar with our budget process, to have some understanding of when we're talking about the different phases of where we are, they can have some understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. It is a cumbersome process. It's a lot of people that are involved, and it takes some time. It takes some time to get to the end product. So I'm happy to answer questions, any questions that you all have.
Definitely appreciate all the time you put into it, so, okay.
Kevin, you mentioned parameters, that the departments are given parameters. Can you define parameters, and what are the parameters for this year?
We've talked to them about not adding staff. They're not adding big changes in service levels. And if there are any changes, we'd like to know that. So we can understand when we sit down at our budget meetings, we know exactly what we're looking at. Our first meeting with our departments, with the village manager and the department managers or and their budget teams, is mostly getting an understanding of what their budget submissions are. What is included in the budget? How are we providing some basic level of service? This year we went through in a detailed basis, and we looked at, should we be having pagers, or should we be changing how we provide our look at our communications within some of our operating departments. And we made some adjustments there that I think are going to save some money. So we look to have an understanding of what is in their budget requests, so that the manager can make his recommendation as to what he thinks is the best approach to a spending plan going forward. What should be included in that, what should not.
Does that answer?
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Anybody else on the board have any questions? Anybody? Y'all are sitting back, so I can really see. Okay, all right. Make sure I don't miss anything. Just one thing that I want to just hop in there. How do you handle the wants versus needs? Because we have so many needs, but we have a lot of wants too. So that comes up pretty often, whether we talk about it up here or we get bumped into a Jewel, whatever, So, can you kind of explain a little bit? Maybe that's what you were going to say, but that's one thing I would kind of want to put out there and talk about a little bit.
Yeah, thanks.
Who wants to take it? That loaded of a question, wasn't it?
Well,
Is it?
yeah, actually. What I was going to mention first is that one of the priorities, Trustee Wagner, is this year we wanted to isolate all of our software costs. Usually, we kept all the software costs within each departmental budget. Could be in public works, it could be in economic development. But this year, we wanted to ensure we isolated all the Microsoft licenses, its renewal date, the Barracuda spam preventer, and et cetera. So we put it all under IT. So when you see the budget this year, IT is going to be really inflated. So we took all those licenses out of the departments and other things. So the cost shift from departments to IT, and the money was also taken out also, because we wanted to isolate that. Because, quite frankly, somebody would say, Keener, how many Microsoft licenses does the Village of Villa Park have? And I would say, you know what, I have no idea, but let me ask IT. Now we can flip open and we'll just go down and we'll see the Microsoft, how much we pay that faceless corporation. So, sorry. But for priorities, wants versus needs, you'll see when we present the budget, just like last year and the year before, we'll have a slide on the PowerPoint that'll address the board's, what I believe that you like to see, which will be the demolition fund, how much is going to be spent on roads, and some other things. Your favorite things is what I tell the staff. So that'll be right up front in a slide so that you know that they're continued forward in the budget. But for the priorities and the wants, I've asked staff to assemble their wants, and we keep that separately. This year you're going to see account 402 and 401. One's over 20,000 and one's under 20,000. There'll be several wants and desires, and some of those will be funded, some won't. And that way, we'll put them in the budget. So if we do have extra funds come in, then we can fund a desire, say a second roller, another chipper, 50-foot fire hose. I don't know where the fire chief went, but we put all that together because we still want to buy equipment. Right now, we've got 3 squad cars in the budget, 2 detectives' cars. Whether the 2 detectives' vehicles make it, I'm not sure right now. We are going to accept the new fire engine in probably June, so we'll have a transaction there of the grant funding and then reimbursement. I may propose a second purchase of an ambulance, which takes 6 to 8 months to build, to replace an older piece of equipment so that we can get back on a regular replacement schedule within the fire department. And I believe that's something that the board has tasked me to do. And last few years, I think we've bought 3 squad cars per year, and we rotate the new ones in. We take the ones with the most repairs or the most mileage, and we sell those. We take those proceeds, we put it back in the equipment replacement fund, and constantly buy new equipment that way. But there's going to be some desires from the fire department right now. There's extreme energy loss at Fire Station 81 because the doors are so large and they have to go up all the time to bring out the vehicles all the way. And so we're considering making the doors smaller. Well, it's $18,000 a door, so it's a little expensive. The windows at Fire Station 83 need to be replaced. That's $7,900, I believe. The windows here in Village Hall need to replace. Right now, that's $160,000, and that's only upstairs. That's not downstairs.
That's historical.
Yes, historical nature. $69,000 of that is installation. Not that I know offhand. So, but there are a number of desires, and we weigh them all the time. And we try to find money. We use our TIFs efficiently, I believe. And one of the things we're constantly asking ourselves when we spend TIF money, will it bring revenue to that particular area? Will it revitalize that particular area? And if it doesn't, we don't expend the funds. If it does, we expend the funds. And so we're constantly weighing things like that and trying to go green at the same time. One of the things that we've made a priority last year and a little bit the year before was everyone does not need a personal copier on their desk. So when you look at Village Hall, we have the monster copier outside the elevator, and we all are linked with our computers, and we print off the copier. You just got to get up from your desk and walk to the copy machine. And if it's a personal document or private, you got to walk faster. So, because quite frankly, if you have a personal copier on your desk, that's about $45 for an ink cartridge.
Oh, yeah, easily.
And quite honestly, it's just as cost effective. Just go buy a new copier. You can get them for $89 or whatever. But you know, we've taken maintenance agreements off our fax machines because they're durable equipment, and really have taken a hard look at all of the budgets, including the pagers. How effective is a pager versus what do you call them? A dummy phone? I mean, what's the cost versus that? And so we're constantly looking at weird things like that.
Things that add up.
But they add up,
Fast.
so we're such a we're frugal. We're very fiscally responsible,
Right.
but you know, with the smartphones now, we're available 24/7, and you can get answers quickly. You can find phone numbers quickly, and things happen. It could be an emergency operations center we need to open up, or we have 19.3 inches of snow that we need to react to, and we need to do that. And folks at home and folks here understand that, and you know, we need to be where we need to be when we need to be there. So, sorry, Your Honor, I talked too much.
That's kind of a loaded question, I guess, but I know it comes up every year, and you have your dream list, and then have to get it down to reality.
Hope that
and
helps.
What we can do this year, and then what we can put off next year.
One thing that I've noticed since I've been here is whenever we're talking about any type of a purchase like this, that requires a discussion like this, the question we always circle around to is it an investment or is it just an expense? If there's an investment in a software that's going to make things more efficient over the long term, it might cost a little bit more now, but you know what? We're going to save a lot of money over the next 5 years because we're going to spend a little bit now. So that's always in the back of our mind, and all the things that we're talking about, thinking about, whether it's expense in the maintenance garage for parts for vehicles, talking about replacing them because they're always in service, or whether it's an investment in a software or something else. That the long view on the particular purchase is always contemplated as part of the discussion.
Just one comment, Madam President. I remember very well last year, we had what I kind of felt was an awkward moment where we had, there was some discussion about the budget close to the deadline for approving the budget, and a request by a board member to reallocate money, and I think it may be, I think I'm stating this correctly, if we have concerns about the way money is allocated, we should make those known to the manager as early as possible, not at the 11th hour.
Sure, yes.
Trustee Wagner, you may find this odd, but I actually took notes from that particular meeting and have brought that up to Venus already. So we did address that because I pulled out my notes from last year, and I know exactly what you're referring to, and our successful bond referendum will help with that. But I've openly told staff that as we move forward, we're going to be fiscally responsible with the Series 2014 and 2015 bond proceeds. And as you see this evening in the agenda, the Series 2015 bond proceeds, staff would like to deposit those funds in Inland, and Series 2014 has been deposited with BMO Harris. And we're taking a look at the MFT funds now and some other sources to see how much funds that we can allocate up and beyond what we want to do in the 2015 road projects to address the streets and the condition thereof. So, and I was going to talk about the 2015 road project binder later on, but thank you.
Well, also piggybacking onto that, I noticed on one of the slides that the proposed issue date, and I hope we stick to that, where the board can see the first round of the budget, February 20th, that will really help, because that gives us a month from then to March 23rd. You know, we're going to be talking about it. So we'll kind of see from the beginning. So I think that's also going to help. And I know I was working on that last year too, so I appreciate that.
We'll do our best to get that out to
Yeah,
you
the
as
sooner the
soon as we
better, because
can.
really that really helps.
Right.
When we can really then, gives us time, because the document's probably, what, about that thick, maybe a little thicker than that?
We
so-
try to make it as understandable as possible, but
It's
it's a lot of
to
stuff.
read. Yeah,
it's a lot
to read, lots to absorb, and also understand. Some of it's not completely and always understandable. So as we dig through, that'll give us a better opportunity to really come up and ask some really good and hopefully intelligent questions as we get through this. So
Well,
it's
as the
complicated.
process goes along, I'm open for to answer questions if there's
Sounds good.
confusion about what we mean by this or that.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
made some tweaks in the process, just on the technical back end of things this year, and that's, I think, been an improvement, but it's taken some getting used to. So things are presented in a little bit different way this year because I've been involved with the process, and if something doesn't make sense, by all means, let me know. I'd be happy to explain what's happening.
We touched on making it easier to read. That's something for years. I mean, even long before I was up here. I've been up here only 6 years, but yeah, any way you can make it easier to read, you know, for the board, for the residents that go online and read the budget. Yeah, anything you can make to make it easier.
Try to make
Streamlined,
Try to make
whatever.
a snapshot so people understand the major inputs and outputs
Right.
of the overall budget. And if they want to have more detailed information, then it's there as well.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Anybody else? Okay, Trustee Bolfus.
About 2 years ago, we had a Saturday that all the department heads and the board members had a goal-setting and
Yes.
a strategic plan meeting where we set out goals for long-term and short-term goals. What part of the process are those goals reviewed and see how they would affect on the budget? And how are they being implemented?
Thank you, Your Honor. They have been reviewed, and the implementation becomes, as Director Watel mentioned, in the priorities of the budget for the actual dollars placed in to achieve that particular goal. If no dollars are placed in there, then obviously the goal won't be accomplished.
I just, because we spent a whole day, I want to make sure that, that they're looked at when the budget has gone over too. So when I look for them in the budget, I'll see them.
Yeah, sounds like the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
That they have looked at that and go back one more time before the 20th. Make sure there isn't anything missing or whatever. So if there is, we'll talk about it. So, okay, anything else before we move on? Everybody okay? Alrighty, that concludes our item number 5. Thank you, Kevin, we really appreciate that. Okay, nice understanding. Okay, item number 6 on the committee of the whole. Consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving highway authority agreement and a limited environmental indemnity agreement with Rocco, Favia, and V&R Auto and Truck Repair at 36 West St. Charles Road. Manager Keenan?
Thank you, Henry. In recognition of possible petroleum contamination in the adjacent village right-of-way, the owner of the property located at 36 West St. Charles Road is requesting a highway authority agreement and a limited environmental indemnity agreement with the village. These agreements allow remediation of the public right-of-way to be deferred until there are specific needs to excavate. They would still be responsible for any site remediation. The Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as IEPA, allows this approach, recognizing that remediation of public right-of-way can be very disruptive. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? Come on up. How you doing? You might need to adjust the mic a little bit. Do what you gotta do. Okay, well, that's better, because now your mic is not right at your nose.
Cheryl Tucker, 434 South Cornell. I actually have a question for you. Did you see the report from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency showing that it is safe if they do not excavate in that land?
If they do not,
if they do not?
if it's not needed, there's no sense in doing it right now. And I say that because as a municipality, we have very limited wells that are private that provide potable water. We do have some wells that provide for irrigation, so it's not a drinking issue unless there's some items that are being ingested. It could become an issue, but there's no real need to excavate right now unless, Director Giskelis, would you like to elaborate a little bit, or? Okay.
I understand that from this thing, it says that if they do, it's a thing. My question is, with all the flooding we had on St. Charles Road and the village stuff, did you see the report showing that it would be safe the way it is without the land being disturbed?
It doesn't say it'll be safe.
Okay,
I mean, you can't guarantee anything's going to be safe.
so there's still a possibility they can infect our water then?
Our water comes from Michigan, Lake
Oh, I
Michigan.
understand,
so
but it
I don't
runs
think
off
it'll
and
reach
it's-
that far, but that's just my thought.
I don't know. Vitas Giskelis, our Director of Public Works, he might have a little more insight on that.
Okay, there's actually two parts to this proposed ordinance. One is the groundwater ordinance, which we've done on numerous occasions in the past. That basically says you can't have a potable well. And of course, since everybody's on Lake Michigan water, it's an easy ordinance to pass.
Yeah.
The second part is the Highway Authority Agreement. What that says is that if the village has to excavate the roadway for whatever purpose adjacent to that property, and we find that the soil is contaminated, we turn around and tell them, you remediate that soil. But if we don't have to dig, then it just stays put and it's capped.
Right.
Typically, capping of contaminated soil is one of the preferred methods of remediation. So if we don't have to disturb it, that's fine. But if we do, they're financially responsible for any remediation costs. That's what the ordinance says.
Okay.
Does that
And
make
that's
sense?
been clearly stated to them as
Well,
well?
that's-
Reiterate, I mean, it's in the ordinance, but I mean,
Yes.
yeah, okay, great.
We have representatives here.
Fabulous, okay. Terrific, okay, good. So you heard it here too? Okay. Double, okay. Yeah, I think so, right now. We'll find out if anybody else. Oh, we're still in public. Hold on, yeah, we're almost there. Anybody else from the public though? Okay, come on up. Yeah, we'll get to the board. Hi there.
Hello. Nick Cazone, 21 West Adams. I do environmental work, so my question is, who on the board is reviewing like levels of contamination in the soil and the groundwater? And do we have the knowledge to do that?
Staff, for sure, including the manager and Public Works. Is there anybody else involved on the staffing level?
We actually have multiple.
Yes, I'm sorry. Come on up. Stay close.
The village utilizes multiple environmental consultants depending on the situation.
Okay.
Particularly for the construction debris, which remember has to be tested and
Right.
manifested and disposed of properly. So we do have a routine testing of all excavated material
Okay.
that our crews take.
Okay. So consultant involved with this then, too?
Well, we're not
Will be?
excavating,
Will
so
be, okay.
if we were to excavate,
But
yes, we would
okay,
have
so we
somebody
have all that
involved
in mind,
at that
okay.
point.
So, okay. Does that answer the question?
The question I'm asking is there a consultant that's reviewing the data to obtain the Highway Authority Agreement? Illinois EPA requires you to determine the extent, and then once that's determined, and then the Highway Authority Agreement isn't acceptable. And I do this a lot, so it's.
Okay.
But as long as the data shows that there's no imminent threat,
Okay.
the city's signing off on it, but is the city still protected through what they call TACO, Tiered Approach to Corrective Action Objectives? So as long as the city's covered, it's a perfectly acceptable way to do it. But as long as somebody's looking at it and saying that, the city will still be protected from either vapors coming in or, and even though we don't use the water, the groundwater may be contaminated and may affect somebody down the street if it gets into the sewers.
Right.
So, like I say, it's perfectly acceptable.
Which we don't,
There's
yeah.
really no problem with that as long as somebody's looking at it and looking at the data saying that everything is good.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that, we take as many precautions as we possibly can. Absolutely.
Correct.
Does staff have anything to add to that? No?
I don't.
Are we good? Okay. Any other questions and comments from the public about that? Okay. I'm going to toss it up to the board. Trustee Case?
No, I was gonna ask Mr. Cazone, because I know he's in that field to,
Yeah.
answer any questions or throw his advice towards that way.
Okay.
But my next question, is there tanks in the ground there, or? The tanks have been removed, because I know
Would you-
they've
yeah,
been
if you can
removed.
Come up to the podium.
I know they've been removed from the car wash.
The car wash and VNR.
Can you state your name for the record?
Brian Gray
Brian Gray.
with Marlin Environmental.
Marlin.
Okay.
Yep. They were removed in, I believe, 1990. So 25 years ago.
The tanks from the car wash?
The USTs. Oh, no, the actual VNR property.
Oh, okay. Because I know there was tanks in the car wash that were recently removed.
Those have
too.
been removed as well.
Right.
Those are gone.
Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're good. Making sure we stay awake tonight, I guess. Don't go too far, because there might be another question, so we'll see. Trustee Wagner.
How did we detect that there might be some contamination?
When the tanks were pulled, there was a leakage of the tanks.
Okay.
So the fire marshal noted that, and we've been working with the EPA.
And was this gasoline in it? Was
Gasoline.
Gasoline, okay.
Another question, actually.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
good? Okay. Trustee Tagler.
How long is gasoline dangerous once it's in the ground?
Like I said, usually you can just cap it. It depends on the levels.
If it's in the soil, does it
If there's
dissipate
several-
after time, or is it?
It goes away over time. It could take many, many, many years. But, if it's high enough, we will excavate. But if it's low enough, the EPA will just say, cover it. Just leave it alone.
Okay, I just didn't know how long
It could be.
gasoline remained a threat in the soil.
It depends on the type of, this is a clay out here, so
Sure.
it could last for a while.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Trustee Bolfus.
Now, 25 years ago, the tanks were removed.
Mm-hmm.
The rules 25 years ago were a whole lot different than they are today.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if I remember right, 25 years ago, if the fire department came out there and looked and said, "It looks okay," it was okay. It's not that way anymore.
Nope.
You need to do soil samples and all that.
Soil, water.
Were there any soil samples done recently around here? Do we know, it says here, possible contaminations. That means, I interpret that to mean there were no soil samples taken recently.
We took samples a few years ago.
Okay.
Approximately 3 years ago.
And you found
We found some contamination.
on the property
On the
itself,
property.
but not on the right of way.
Not in the right way.
Okay. So, okay.
But if there's contamination found on the property
No.
itself, then the EPA gets involved, and they still have
EPA
to.
is involved.
Yeah, so they have to clean that.
He's getting the letter. We're going through the
Soil,
whole
the
process
dirt,
to get the NFR letter.
Okay.
No further remediation letter. And this is part of it, getting a highway authority agreement.
Just want to make that clear, that it's not just gonna,
It's-
nothing's not gonna happen because it's not right away. I mean, it's gonna be taken care of.
It's
Okay.
going to be taken care of.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody, y'all good? Okay, how about down there? One more thing? Anything? Okay. All right, roll call vote.
Okay, Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 7 on the COW. Consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a reciprocal reporting system agreement between the village and DuPage High School District 88. Manager Keener?
Thank you, Honor. This resolution establishes a reciprocal reporting system between School District 88 and the Villa Park Police Department regarding juvenile and criminal offenses involving students. There is a need for educators and law enforcement officials to have access to this information in order to work together as efficiently as possible to prevent, eliminate, and discourage acts of crime, violence, and intimidation. Staff recommends the Village President and Board of Trustees approve this resolution. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Any questions and comments from the public regarding this item? No? Okay, how about the board? Anybody on the board have any questions about this? I just want to say, I was really glad to see this come forward, but I was a little surprised that we didn't already have something in place. So what have we done about it up to this point? And how have we addressed this? I'm glad to see it come forward now, but what's been done up to this point?
Your Honor, I believe what's been done up to this point, it's been on an individual case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Discussions between each entity.
Okay. Well, all right. see it finally come forward. Okay, anything else from the board? Nope. All right, roll call vote.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 8 on the committee of the whole. Consider a resolution authorizing the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, to establish a bank account with Inland Bank and Trust. Manager Keener?
Thank you, Your Honor. In order to ensure transparency in the use of bond proceeds, it is necessary to open an additional bank account used solely for referendum projects. Staff researched alternatives from more than 10 banks and investment alternatives and recommends that the village deposit the proceeds from the 2015 bond issue with Inland Bank and Trust. These funds are fully protected upon the execution of the collateral control agreement, and we will easily be able to use the funds when they are needed. The proceeds from the 2014 bond issue have been deposited at BMO Harris, another Villa Park bank. Staff recommends approval of a resolution approving the opening of the bank account at Inland Bank. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? Okay, questions and comments from the board? Anybody? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Abstain.
Trustee Bullfus?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 9 on the COW. Consider a resolution authorizing the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, to establish a collateral control agreement with Inland Bank and Trust and U.S. Bank National Association. Manager Keener?
Thank you, Your Honor. To fully protect the village's assets that are to be invested with Inland Bank and Trust, it is necessary to execute this collateral control agreement. This is an agreement between the village, Inland Bank, and U.S. Bank, where Inland Bank will pledge assets such as government securities to be held by an independent third-party U.S. bank and will be in the village's name. Therefore, if Inland Bank were to fail, we would then receive the pledged assets, so we remain whole. Staff recommends approval of this resolution.
Questions or comments from the public about this item? Okay, how about the board? Y'all have anything? No? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Oh, bless you.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 10, convening to the formal agenda. Do my paper shuffle here. All right. Item number 1, Village President's report on the formal. And manager might be planning this for his report, but any updates on the snow removal? Are you gonna talk about that in your report?
Sure.
That's kind of what we've done. The manager mentioned earlier, 19.3 inches of snow hit us, about a week ago now, I guess it's been. So,
Seems just like yesterday.
it does seem like yesterday. And we finally are starting to see the concrete in the roads again, but just was wondering if you had any other updates on that. 'Cause they've
Sure.
been working on it basically nonstop, so.
Yes, we received as a village 19.3 inches. What we did as a village is we established 12-hour shifts for our personnel. So 6 or 7 personnel would work a 12-hour shift. More would come back in. They would work 12 hours, and another crew would come back in. And that's the way that we dealt with the 19.3 inches. The snow on St. Charles, obviously we plowed St. Charles, and then we came back at night with a backhoe and actually took the loads of snow off St. Charles and deposited at, say, Lufkin Pool or other areas where when it melted it wasn't going to interfere with anything. And quite frankly, if I'm not mistaken, I think we took 120 loads of snow off St. Charles to make sure it's drivable. Our crews did a fantastic job. They reacted, salted the thoroughfares, intersections, and even today when you drove around, the streets were beautiful. I had a lot of compliments, had a couple of concerns, and we dealt with those concerns in a timely manner, I believe. But so far, I think year-to-date, we've got about 22 inches of snow, and I think we went through about 150 tons of salt. We're also using bead heat to lessen the use of salt. So it's I call it a pre-emergent. It's probably not the correct term. Vetus is laughing. So, but we're trying that. It seems to be working rather well. So, and very proud of the staff. They did an excellent job, and hopefully, just a few more weeks of winter, and we'll have no more snow. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it might look, you know. So, yeah, the issues and concerns that we did receive, we attacked those concerns as soon as we possibly could. So we appreciate the folks out there being very patient, and it's really kind of cool, you know, being out there and seeing the kids sledding and the parents out there building snowmen with their kids, and it was just kind of a cool thing to see. Also, people helping each other clear their driveways and whatnot. But that brings me to the next thing on my report. Did receive some complaints about private plow contractors as well as residents who would plow the snow onto the street. So if they're plowing driveways or parking lots, a lot of that snow would end up on the street. And we can't have that. You know, we're going through clearing the streets, and then there's new piles of snow that are landing on the streets from private contractors and other residents that are clearing their driveways and whatnot. So we just ask that you not do that, please. We ask you not to blow your leaves onto the street. Now we're going to ask you not to put your snow, our snow, the snow, on the street. It complicates things, and you're going to have to find another place to put it. Please don't put it on the street that's just been plowed. Okay. Also, you've probably noticed that the area is pretty slippery. I can tell you that I've experienced that. I took quite a spill on my bum and hit some black ice, and I've been hearing from other residents that have been wiping out and hitting their head and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty, you know, as we hit the thaw, you kind of have danger zones out there too. So just kind of take it easy, be careful. Those of us that are salting, you know, just remember to salt your sidewalks and your walkways so your mail carrier doesn't wipe out or your family members don't wipe, whatever. Just kind of keep an eye on that. Hopefully we'll be closing in on the thaw pretty soon. Also, wanted to read a statement from the family of Brendan McCardle. And for those of you that may have not heard, a few days ago, Brendan McCardle, who's been a member of our community for years, he works at Jewel, had his wagon and some personal effects stolen from him while he was out delivering newspapers. And the support from the community and from staff and from folks that are aware of the situation has been really, really incredible and overwhelming, and in a lot of ways. So I've been in contact with the family, and I have a statement here from the family that I'm going to read for them on their behalf. So they say, the family of Brendan McCardle would like to say that we have been humbled by the overwhelming support and generosity of the people of Villa Park when Brendan's wagon and belongings were stolen a couple weeks ago. Brendan's wagon has been replaced and his glasses will be replaced. We wish to thank the anonymous donor for the replacement wagon and the village officials and officers who have been so helpful in this matter. In everyday, small ways, Brendan has touched the lives of many people, and they have touched his. We are very proud to be from Villa Park. Further, it is the family's desire that any and all contributions intended for Brendan, however well meant, go directly to the Ray Graham Association. With gratitude for this wonderful community, we are Judith Hikiss, Brendan's mother, as well as Darren, Kristen, Megan, Siobhan, and Amon McCardle, Brendan's brothers and sisters. So they asked me to read that in for the residents and for the record, and they're just very, very thankful that, you know, Brendan's okay. You know, he was a little shook up after the event, but he's doing okay. So just wanted to put that out there for the family. And Villa Park's a great town in a lot of ways, and this is one of them. So just wanted to read that. Also wanted to put some reminders out there. We have community meetings coming up in regard to the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. You probably heard us talk about it a lot. I'm going to continue to hear us talk about this. We have some dates coming up for future. We're doing it kind of in layers here so we can get the public involved and also kind of divided up so that it's a lot easier to collect information, and I'm looking for Greg Gola. There he is right there. We had one event on this past weekend, on Saturday, February 7th. We talked about the athletic fields and collected quite a bit of information for that. And then Thursday, February 12th, from 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon at the Community Rec Building, we're going to talk about older adult and senior recreation programming. Swimming pools will be discussed on Tuesday, February 17th from 7 to 9 p.m., an evening meeting. Facilities and programs on Saturday, February 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the Iowa Community Center. The swimming pool one will also be at the Iowa Community Center. Parks and playgrounds will be Wednesday, February 25th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Community Rec Building. And if you have any other questions about this, you can call Villa Park Parks and Rec at 630-834-8970. We'd love to hear you. Come out, hear what's on your mind, and just let's talk about it. So we've also got this listed on the website. Parks and Rec has been putting it out on the Facebook page. The Village has been putting it out on the Facebook page. I put it on my Facebook page. So we're getting it out there. So a lot going on. Also, something else for you to note, the State of the Village Town Hall meeting date. We finally have a date and location set in stone. We locked it down. It's going to be held on Thursday, February 26th at 6:30 p.m. at the Willowbrook High School in their auditorium. So this is going to be a Village Town Hall meeting to kind of talk about the state of the village, where we've been, where we're going. So we hope to see you on Thursday, February 26th at 6:30. We'll be getting the word out now that we got the date locked down through email blasts, Facebook, Twitter announcements, and if you're not hooked up on those, please make sure you like the page and get hooked up with Twitter. Sign up for Notify Me, which is on the Village website. It's another great way to stay in touch. There's also newspaper press releases that will go out. So there's a lot of opportunities to kind of be plugged in and come and see us that night. So we would love to see you. Okay. I think that's all I have on my list, so kind of long this time. But the second thing, then, we'll just move on. Item number 2, public comments on agenda items. So this is regarding item number 4, which is our consent agenda on the formal. If anybody has anything they want to mention, I'm looking over to my left because I don't think we have too many. Well, we have some residents on the right. So, nope. Anything? All righty then. Your opportunity to speak on non-agenda items would be item number 5. So. Moving on to item number 3, amendments of the agenda for the formal agenda. Does the board have any amendments?
Madam President?
Trustee Ayala.
I just want to amend to remove E from the consent agenda and move it to a separate item because I abstained from that. I don't want to have to abstain from the whole thing.
Thank you. Do you have a conflict, sir, for the record?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So we're removing item E?
Yes. And that's smart.
Okay. That sounds good. Any other amendments then?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All right. I don't know if we needed a motion for that. Do we? Okay. All right. Should we do a roll call vote then on that?
Sure.
Let's do it just for the
As long as
record.
you did a motion.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote.
Okay. Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Bowles?
Yes. Okay. Any other amendments? Before we move on?
What about F?
Okay.
Oh.
What about F? Yes. Mentioned in
He didn't abstain from that.
I didn't abstain from that.
No.
Okay.
the, you're good.
Yes.
Okay, so no motions for that. Okay. All right. Anything else before we move on? Okay. All right, item number 4, consent agenda. I'm going to read the items just for the record, the headings here, except for the one that we just removed. Letter A, bill listing dated February 9th, 2015, in the amount of $302,357.54. Minutes from Village COW meeting for January 26, 2015. That was letter B. Item C, minutes from the Village formal board meeting for January 26, 2015. D, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a reciprocal reporting system agreement between the Village and DuPage High School District 88. Moving on to item F, consider resolution authorizing the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, to establish a collateral control agreement with Inland Bank and Trust and U.S. Bank National Association. And G, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a highway authority agreement and a limited environmental indemnity agreement with Rocco Fabia and VNR Auto and Truck Repair at 36 West St. Charles Road. Have a motion on the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Trustee Ayala.
move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Trustee Case?
second.
Okay. Any other questions or comments before we roll call? Okay, roll call vote.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Okay. Item number 5. This is public comments on non-agenda items.
You have to take E now. You have to go back and
Do I have to go back and remove it? Come back.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to go back and formally remove item number E under the consent agenda, which is consider a resolution authorizing the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, to establish a bank account with Inland Bank and Trust.
So we need a separate
So
motion.
No,
we need a motion on that then. To
We're not
remove.
removing that.
That's
We're going to
what-
vote on it.
There
I'm
was no
being told
motion
again.
on it. It was removed from the consent agenda, so you move in
So
second.
she says we have to. We need a motion to physically remove it.
No, it
No.
has been removed.
But
We
now
just
it-
need a motion to vote on it.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Right, a motion to
Okay,
vote.
motion to vote on it then.
I make a motion for item E.
Okay, to vote on it. Okay, do we have a second?
Madam President, I'll second it.
Okay, trustee Case. All right, let's do a roll call vote on that then.
There we go.
We got
All these formalities.
I know.
Okay, Trustee
Will do.
Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Abstain.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes, okay. All clear on that consent agenda. Anything else you want to do?
No,
Nope, we're good.
We're
Okay.
there. Fine.
All right. Okay, moving on. Item number 5. Okay, public comments, non-agenda items. Anybody have anything on non-agenda items? You get 3 minutes to address anything on non-agenda. Nope. Okay. We're going to move on to item number 6 then, village clerk's report. You have anything for us tonight?
Nothing tonight, thank
Nothing
you.
tonight? Okay. All right, village trustees report. I'm going to start to my right tonight. Trustee Bolfus.
Oh, I
Do you have
just want to
anything?
give thank you to the streets and Department 2 for all their snow plowing. I really, I had to do my driveway 4 times in
Waste.
that day. And I didn't stay up to watch how many times this plow came down the street. But I had one question. I was asked by some resident, how many plow trucks do we have out on the street on a day like last Sunday? I was
What's the
guessing
answer there?
5. That's good enough, right?
Well,
Close enough.
I thought we had
Oh, more
more.
than
We had
that?
at one time we had a
Okay.
7-person crew out there, so.
And somewhere along the line, can we have an estimate on what the cost of that storm was? So I appreciate that too.
Yeah, we could skip that.
So,
The good news is we haven't had another storm like that
That's
this
right.
year. That was really the first
But-
wallop.
but a big thank you to your department if you pass that along. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, good work, job well done. Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Okay. Trustee Taglia.
Okay, also thanks to Public Works for a great job. Also, something that has been mentioned to me recently is compliments to our, the Villa Park Police Department. And I know that I see them out there quite a bit on the weekends and late at night and things like that. So just want to extend a resident's thank you to the Chief of Police. He's doing a great job, so thank you. Also at Coffee with the Board this Saturday, some residents asked about the commission or committee for the road referendum. Is that there was to be a committee formed of residents to kind of participate with
The citizen oversight?
Yeah, that's the one. And they just asked me if I would mention it and ask how that's going.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honor.
Sorry.
No answer.
Yes, Director Wattel is going to commence the first meeting once the Series 2015 bonds have been deposited in Inland Bank and Trust. After the first meeting, they'll set their regular meeting schedule for once a month, and it'll be up to Director Wattel to establish those meetings on a monthly basis and show the records and take them through the expenditures. Thank you, Ron.
In other words, the meeting hasn't been established yet, but an email will go out to those that have already said they want to be on.
Okay.
The staff's already put together quite a list, so.
Okay, well, thank you. They're
Those folks
just
will get it.
asking because they wanted to know. Thank you very
That's
much,
cool.
Manager Keener.
Welcome.
That's it.
Is that it?
I think so, for now.
Okay. All right then. Trustee Case.
Yes, 2 questions. Snow removal for sidewalks.
What do we do about that? Is there a fine? Do we warn them, especially around the schools that people haven't shoveled?
Who wants to
I
arm
had to be
wrestle
the
for
bad
this
guy.
one?
Hey, my
No.
son walks
No,
through.
no,
He complained to me.
sidewalks, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. So, I don't know, who wants
Where's
to
Director
arm wrestle
Grill?
for this?
I can answer
Yeah.
it real quick. Get him the ticket.
Well,
I
that-
can say there is an ordinance
I agree.
that addresses this issue.
Yes.
So if we're directed to enforce it to whatever level we're directed to, we will.
Yeah, is that the $25? There's like a $25 fine somewhere for something. I thought it was something along those lines. I mean, it's not a lot,
If I
but,
recall, I thought it was more geared towards the commercial districts,
okay.
not necessarily the residential districts.
I would like to I think we should find out who the people live at the house first. If they're elderly, they can't shovel. Okay, but if they're able to shovel, first a warning and then boom. I mean, it's I think these are the same people that don't cut their grass too, so, and that's a big problem of mine too.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
What we did for the 19.3 inches of snow in that particular event is I instructed Chief Pavlicek to have the CSOs and then Director Grill have our inspectors drive around certain areas within 3 blocks of the schools. If the sidewalks needed to be shoveled in that particular area, to knock on the residents' home and ask them to shovel their sidewalk so that the kids can walk on the sidewalk and not in the streets. But that's a 3-block area surrounding all the schools. That's what we did.
Yes, I would like to propose an ordinance towards that then. Because honestly, I almost hit somebody the other morning walking down the street. I did not see him. I was within 5 feet of hitting him.
Yes.
And Your Honor, if that pleases the board, staff would certainly draft and modify the current ordinance, which is in effect to address residential along with commercial, if so be directed. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there's people out there that help each other, you know, especially for those that are elderly and can't clear. I mean, people do that, but there are others that don't clear anything. That's kind of back to what I said in my report. Cut it out and do it. So I'm all for it. Anybody else?
I'm in favor of it.
Who's in favor of it?
It needs to be done.
I mean, we need to, yeah, okay, so we got 2. Who else is in favor of it?
I would not be in favor.
So you don't, okay. All right, we have 2. Anybody else in favor of adding an amendment to the existing ordinance?
Oh, I'm in favor.
Well, there's 3.
I see trouble with enforcement. So we'd have to discuss that. You can write up the ordinance and we'll discuss it at the time it comes,
Okay.
comes up.
Okay.
So
This is just, so you agree with at least massaging the ordinance and adding that in?
see what's already on our books too.
Right, yeah,
Might already be there.
yeah. So we've talked a little bit about the ordinances already, so, yeah. Let's,
Is there a state obligation, is there a state law that says no, what state law was it, there's no obligation to remove snow and ice?
Not that I'm aware of.
okay. We have enough guidance here then, so, yeah, unless, yeah. Trustee Wagner, did you want to weigh in on that?
No.
No? Okay. We have enough to at least move forward and massage the ordinance then, yeah. And then we can talk about it. Yeah. It's not a fun job, but it's gotta get done, so. Okay. Anything else?
I got myself in enough trouble.
No, it's
No,
one
it
of those
needs to be
things that
done.
it
It's
comes
just
up
not-
every single
A lot
year,
of people are
so
afraid of that stuff.
it's, yeah, it's fine. Okay, to my left, Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to let the residents know that the Park and Recreation Advisory Commission will be meeting tomorrow at Iowa Community Center at 7 p.m. And of course, members of the public are invited to attend. This last Saturday, I was fortunate to attend a seminar, half-day seminar about native landscaping. Very interesting, very informative. Provided a lot. It just let me know that there are lots of resources available to people who are interested in doing that to their property. There's lots of resources to help them do it in the right way. Just an interesting thing that I heard on the news, that the Illinois Tollway Authority is considering planting milkweed along the tollway, because milkweed is where the monarch butterfly larva starts. And reading our ordinance, milkweed is prohibited. And so that's something we definitely need to look at. And attending the seminar, there's multiple varieties of milkweed that people grow in their native landscaping gardens. So, just an interesting thing. A lot of information, and if I have anything, I can certainly pass it on to the manager and Director Grill. I have a lot of resource material that I can pass along. And I think I'm correct in saying that State Representative Deb Conroy is having a town hall meeting tomorrow night from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Villa Park Public Library. And that's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Trustee Aiello.
No report, thanks.
No report? All right. Okay, item number 8, Village Manager's Report. What do you have for us tonight?
Just a couple of items, Your Honor. I think at all of your desks this evening, we have the 2015 road projects finder. I had staff put this together. This is an item that we're going to continue to put together on a yearly basis. It's got little statistics. Begins with where we're located. You go to the table of contents. Each roadway has its page number. Also has strategy definitions. When you flip through the pages, I'm not sure if you can see it at home, but what we've assembled is each street has a picture, has its cost, what's going to be done, what's the rating of that particular roadway. And we've done that for a number of roads. And then if you go to the back, the last page is a summary of all the roads, their cost, and the total figure. And the total figure for 2015 is $9.5 million and 36,987,000 feet. Some of that is referendum money, some of that is not referendum money, some of that is just regular roadway, rehab, etc. Park Boulevard, and I believe South Michigan is in there. We still need to address a funding component of both of those roadways, but it's a huge list. This is available to the public. We're printing off as many as folks would like. And like I said, this is the 2015 road projects. We'll make a 2016, 2017, and so on, so we can track exactly what we've done. And this will be available on our website. So, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Next item. I know that everyone here and everyone at home is really excited about February 18th. And that happens to be the new governor's budget address. So if you have a chance to watch that or go there in person, it should be very interesting to listen to the proposals and to have hopefully some meat to go along with those proposals. And most of you may or may not be aware, one of the proposals is the takeaway of local government distributive funds, the LGDF, in other words, the income tax. And folks, there's always been a struggle in Springfield that some of the folks believe that the state income tax or the LGDF is totally the state's. If you ask me, it's not. It's totally the municipalities. However, there is going to be a movement underfoot to take all of it or some of it. If they take all of it for us, that amounts to $2,127,700. And if they do that, there will be a slight change in the village services in 2015. So please, if you have an opportunity to voice your concerns to Deb Conroy or Tom Cullerton or the governor himself, please protect our LGDF. $2,127,700. It's a lot of money to try to make up in an already tight budget. And that's just one of the ways that the state of Illinois will try to balance its budget, is to take all of that away from all the municipalities. So, thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have to, on that good note.
Yeah. Great news there. Just to piggyback really quick on that, Governor Rauner attended and participated in a town hall meeting through the Lombard Chamber of Commerce yesterday afternoon. I attended that town hall meeting. It was pretty quick. There was a lot covered, but there was no opportunity to ask questions, and there was no information provided in regards to how he's planning on cutting the budget, where the cuts are going to come from, and that type of thing. So definitely, we're hoping that we're going to hear more at the budget meeting that the state's going to be holding on February 18th. So I'm going to try and get down there if I can, be there in person, but it'll be, I'm sure, televised. If not, there'll be a lot of clips about it on the news that evening. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So, belt tightening's one thing, but to lose that much funding potentially in one full swoop would hurt any municipality. So we're keeping an eye on it. So, okay. So anything else?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Village attorney's report.
No report.
No report tonight? Okay. All right, then we're going to move on to item number 10. Consider executive session. A, 5 ILCS 120-2, C1, personnel matters and collective bargaining. B, 5 ILCS 120-2, C5, purchase or lease of property. C, 5 ILCS 120-2, C6, sale or lease of property. D, 5 ILCS 120-2, C11, pending litigation. E, 5 ILCS 120-2, C21, discussion of closed session minutes. And F, 5 ILCS 120-2, C28, meetings between internal or external auditors and governmental audit committees, finance committees, and their equivalents. Motion to convene to exec session?
Madam President,
Okay, trustee Wagner.
I'll make that motion.
And trustee Bolfus, second. Okay, roll call vote for that.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes, okay, now we're going to go into exec session. We will convene following exec session. So our next board meeting will be on Monday, February 23rd, here at 7:30 here at Village Hall. So we want to thank you, Village Park. See you later.